I feel like this video could end your fear, like confidently, if you follow along and just experiment here with me. So, zoom your attention out 100%. Just try it. Just be this wide open spaciousness instead of having your attention onto a thought. Just stay zoomed out 100%. Try it. And as you rest as this openness, you may feel some physical sensations in the body. Perhaps some tightness, some contraction. Now, just stay with your attention 100% zoomed out. Be this wide open spaciousness. See everything you're seeing. Hear everything that you're hearing all around you. Feel these sensations in the body. And just drop all resistance, which isn't actually anything you have to do when you just stay 100% zoomed out, and you'll see that this space is already non-resisting, right? Everything's just flowing through it. Even the sound of the dogs barking can't harm this space. It can't harm you. Now, you may have a mental reaction to the dog barking. Something in you might tense up and go, "Oh, it's not supposed to be a dog barking. It's disturbing me in some kind of way." And notice that that's a thought narrative, that you're not actually reacting to the dog barking, but you're reacting to a story in your mind. And that's what we're doing nearly all the time. So we need to zoom out from that whole mental fear narrative that seems to be ruling our lives, right? Because what are we waking up from? We're waking up from this dream of being this me in the fear story, being this person who's got to figure life out, who's got to get it right, who might be in a tricky, sticky, awkward situation or something scary in the future. That's the imaginings going on there. That's the imagination that we're almost constantly captivated by. So if we don't want to suffer from that, as it were, stay zoomed out. Don't believe in all those thoughts. See that even if the physical sensations in your body are really strong, a lot of tension, a lot of discomfort, just gently breathe. Just simply be, and allow it to naturally start to drop out. You see, when you're just seeing yourself as this wide open space of awareness, you see it's not holding on to anything anyway. Like, space isn't holding on to anything. So these islands of density in your body are kind of just hanging there in thin air. And they get refueled, or they tense up more when you have your attention down onto thinking and you're reacting to the thinking, you're reacting to the fear story in your mind. But when you stay 100% zoomed out and know yourself as this wide open space of awareness, then the tension doesn't have anything to grip onto, as it were. It's not being refueled by all this heavy identification, or this identification to thought narrative, as in you're believing that you are those thoughts, that you are that sense of yourself in the thinking. But is that really you? Haven't you thought many things about yourself that you later realized weren't quite accurate, or things that you thought about other people? We believe these thoughts so quickly and so easily. But we know that how we're thinking is very dependent on how we're feeling. And our moods change all the time, and so what we think changes all the time. Even our personality isn't that consistent. So why do we pedestal it so much? Why do we listen to it so much and let it rule our lives when there's this whole reality prior to that? There's this whole openness that we can just naturally rest in. There's nothing you need to do to achieve it. It's actually the falling away of the attention being continuously on a mind narrative. So instead, just try it. Just keep going by just resting as openness, and just trust it for a bit. See what happens when you're not continuously listening to that mind narrative. See what happens when you rest as openness. Do things go better or worse in general? Or is it all just the judgment of the mind anyway? You see how the fear can just drop out of the body? Because the tension hasn't got anything to hold on to anymore when you're just staying as open awareness. It's fueled by the thought narrative. When you experience a thought that says, oh, the future could be like this or it could be like that. Something might be wrong with me. Something might be wrong with what's going to happen. I'm dissatisfied. I'm lacking. I need this thing. I need to get this thing. I want it. I need it. How could this person do this to me? You know, all of these thoughts that we experience that cause us so much suffering. It's this never-ending podcast that we just end up believing, but it's not the primary reality. It's the dream. It's the illusion. And, you know, when you stay zoomed out 100%, just being this wide open space of awareness, you're not losing anything there. The mind story will say, no, I'm important. Listen to me. The story of me is really important. But you're not going to lose that. Actually, counterintuitively, you see it all more clearly. You still remember what you need to do. In fact, you remember it more clearly because your mind is less clouded by so many thoughts. The thoughts are being fueled by your constant attention onto them. So no wonder you have a busy mind. Just stay zoomed out 100%. Be this wide open space of awareness and feel these bodily sensations which rise and fall. And they just turn over like waves. And they can't harm this spaciousness. See that experientially. Know yourself as this open space of awareness and just feel these bodily sensations turn over. They rise and they fall. The tension arises, perhaps some fearful thoughts in the mind. There's this tension, but as you're staying 100% zoomed out, it doesn't have anything to grab hold of, and so it just kind of falls within you, and more layers come to the surface, and it's this emotional turnover that you're riding like a wave until it kind of peters out. There can be phases, there can be new triggers in life. Something happens, someone gets ill, a death in the family, a great loss, a loss of money, health, or relationship is sometimes going to trigger a lot of fear, existential crisis. What will happen with AI? What about reality and consciousness itself? Is that even real? Is anything even real? Fears can go existential, but hey, if it's existential for you, at least you've got to the bottom of it. At least you can see now that there's something to transcend here, which is the thinking. The mind-made me story, the separate self. The one we keep mistaking ourselves to be when we know reality is deeper. It's this openness. Stay as this wide open space of awareness. Stay as consciousness. Stay as this appearance. Trust it by being the trust. You don't have to do trust. It's your natural state. You don't have to do acceptance. It's your natural state. Because acceptance or non-acceptance is more thinking. Resistance, non-resistance is more thinking. Spaciousness doesn't care about that. The formlessness arises as the form. Sounds highbrow, sounds techie, but it's really simple. The formlessness arises as the form, but it's never disturbed. The formlessness is never disturbed by any appearance, by any feeling, by any thought, by any experience. Your true nature as this wide openness is completely untouchable, completely unharmable. Has any of your deepest emotional or physical pain ever harmed space? Has any of your most tortuous thoughts ever harmed space? No. So remain as open space. That's the key to ending fear. Peace.